welcome to this very special episode of Pathways to Perform. This is your host, Kiesha Lalama. I am so excited today. We have an amazing and quite extraordinary guest with us. This conversation is going to be awesome. You may recognize this performing arts industry powerhouse as she has been dancing in Vegas alongside of the one and only Britney Spears in her Pieces of Me concert that reached millions of people. In addition to that, this next guest has really just transformed her career and continues to evolve and impress. She's an entertainer, a dancer, a teacher, choreographer, and now producer, along with many other gifts. She's an incredible human being, one of the most kind and genuine souls I have ever met. Please welcome the one and only, I'm so excited, Pam Chu.
Kiesha, hi everybody. Can I just take you everywhere with me? I mean, that was
Thrilled to have you. And I think your journey is one that is certain to inspire. So I would love to kind of start at the beginning and just let me know how you entered this industry. When did you start dancing and how did you know it was the right path for you?
wow. Okay, this is a really great question. So please stop me if I'm long-winded
No,
because
go for
I
it.
can be very long-winded. So it kind of all started with my mom. So if any of you know me, Judy Chu is everyone's biggest fan, and she's like this little spitfire who is just the biggest supporter. So when I was little, my mom said I would just run around the house and like bang pots and pans and just basically be banging off the walls. And I was her first child, so she didn't really know what to do with me. And so she decided to put me in dance class. And honestly, I never looked back, starting off in just a dance school. And then my first dance teacher, Dorothy Medico on Long Island, putting me in other numbers and kind of giving me these like breakout moments or allowing me to try on the dance costume and show it to the class. Special moments like that, just to kind of keep me motivated as a kid and just pushing me in the right direction. And then going to my dance school in Wisconsin when we moved, and I came in a little bit late, so they were already in their class group numbers. And so they gave me a solo so that I would still be able to perform. Honestly, just people continuing to support me and give me opportunity, even as a young child. And it's always the only thing I wanted to do. There's so many kids that are like, oh, I love to do this and that and this, and I just love to dance. And to me, dance was being with my friends and letting off energy and being goofy and being creative. All of those things that they still are today is what kept me going. And then, like around junior year of high school, my parents were like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I'll just go to New York and dance. And then something clicked and I said, I'm not ready for that. I want more training. I want to learn more. And my mom looked in the back of Dance Magazine with all the list of colleges, and she found Point Park, Marymount Manhattan, and Oklahoma City University. I picked those three, auditioned for those three, fell in love with Point Park, went there. So I was like, okay, guess I'm going to college for dance. 4 years of college. And then Kiki's like, you should move out. Kiki Lucas, everyone. Yes, Kiki Lucas, Professor Kiki Lucas. Was like, she was a grade older than me in college and said, you should move out to LA and come dance here with me. And I said, okay, well, I was born in New York. I grew up in Wisconsin. So New York and Chicago felt a little familiar to me. I didn't think I was technically skilled enough to be in a contemporary dance company. So I said, okay, I'll try California. Why not? So moved out to LA and then started that. So honestly, I just kept wanting to dance and learn more. It's as simple as that.
Well, and I think that you followed what made sense to your gut, that gut
Right.
instinct, that connection, that passion that made sense. And that's what you followed. And there's so many people that are kind of not supported when they
Right.
have that kind of connection, especially in the arts. It's, well, you should have a backup plan, or maybe you should consider business so you can open up this. You just had the support that you needed as well. And those people along the way that kept opening those doors to say, here's your solo, check out these costumes. But
Right.
those are also memorable moments to you because they fit. Those made sense to you. And so that's
Exactly.
amazing. I feel like, yeah, it's a little simple in some ways because it just made sense for you. And in other ways, it just is, you had the courage to do it, but then also the support.
The support. And I didn't have to search for something that I felt connected to or that came so natural to me, the happiness of it all. I never felt like I was searching for something that would ignite,
Purpose. Okay, so you go to LA. I'm
go to
interested.
LA. Yeah.
What was that process going from college to all of that kind of training and I would say intimacy and camaraderie, right? Point Park University is a family to walking into the fires of LA and
Yeah.
that circuit.
I had no idea what I was doing. I do not recommend the way that I did it, but I was very lucky that it all worked out. When I speak to students now and I'm, mentoring and hopefully helping guide some people down their next pathway, I always tell them just to really do your research, know what you want to do, have money saved, make sure you have like some sort of a schedule of classes so you stay on your college schedule. And I think innately I did some of that, but I was just, again, excited for the next thing, for the next part of the world of dance to open up to me. So yeah, so I, when I was at Point Park, it was conservatory, right? It was Point Park College. Now it's university. So it was even smaller and a tighter group of, of us all together. So coming out here, I have to say, I felt about 4 years behind everybody else that was here, because I feel like back then a lot of people were graduating high school and coming out here and trying to be sort of actors and dancers. And they would come every summer and they would take dance classes at the Edge or Millennium. And so they had connections with teachers already. And again, this was, I graduated in 2000. So it was, quite a few years ago. I've been here for 21 years now, which is so crazy to think about.
Wow, time flies.
So it's really, really, especially now, feels like. Right. So I came out here and I was lucky to have a group of Point Park friends that I didn't actually know. I knew Kiki and Ashley, Lombardo, and Klein, some of those fun names that a lot of us know. And they sort of just kind of welcomed me into their community of some people from the film department, some people from the journalism department, some people from the theater department. So we had our own crew here in LA and it felt safe. And I felt really looked after and cared for. And so the first thing I did was I tried to get an agent. And I didn't really know what that looked like, but I'm sure Kiki found the audition for me. And I was lucky enough that I booked the first audition, but again, didn't really know what the process was. I just went into it with a college mindset of how to approach an audition. And I did really good. I got an agent, but then didn't really know what that meant and sort of had to navigate how to brand myself and how to know what to put myself up for and how to dress for these auditions. And it was all, learning by falling on my face and coming dressed completely incorrectly to an audition and just having people see me and maybe open doors for me. But that took a few years for me to book anything. I mean, I started teaching at a dance studio in Orange County with Kiki. And that was really great to keep myself focused on nurturing other people. But it kind of took me away from nurturing myself here in LA in regards to trying to get a professional job. So yeah, it definitely took some time and there was a huge learning curve. But once people started opening doors for me, they were like, oh, you're so seasoned. How long have you been here? And, and it's because of all of my training at Point Park and all of the things that I went through that I knew how to handle jobs once I got on them. Once the door was open for me, I knew how to handle myself as a professional.
So explain the process of learn by doing and the importance of following through and keep going, even though the doors didn't open for years.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the roller coaster of making this my focus and my hope for a career and my lifestyle. It's never going to be easy. It's always about reminding yourself why you're doing it and that you have to do it to fulfill that part of yourself, to fill that part of your soul, Yeah, I think I'm somebody who really likes to follow instructions and directions. It's just a part of who I am. I like to be told what is needed. I like to be told what is expected, and I will rise to the occasion. So I think not having a handbook was probably the hardest thing for me. And going to an audition and saying, if I would have just known that this is what they were looking for, I would have come prepared. So then realizing those things, then you start coming with a suitcase full of clothes, different shoes, realizing, okay, I'm half Asian, and this could really help me if I'm trying to stand out. Don't try to blend in and try to be an ensemble member. Just try to be a little more unique to yourself, which I hesitated for a very long time. And I look very young and did look very young when I first moved out here. So don't shy away from that. If there's a Disney gig, lean into it. Learning how to talk to my agents and understanding that it's a give and a take. It's me asking questions as well as them asking questions, and me giving them a list of my goals and coming in with a sheet of paper and writing down, answers and questions. And this is my 3-month goal. This is my 6-month goal. This is my year goal. Do you think these are attainable? And them saying to me, I don't know if we've ever had anybody really say that to us, And so that was really cool to understand that I could do that and understand that I'm in control. I can be in control. And even if being in control is asking questions, that's okay, because that's how you're going to gain all of your knowledge and your research, and feel a little bit more confident going into rooms where nobody knows you, going into rooms where you're capable. It's just understanding how to show them that, and of course you can look at my resume, or you can look at anyone's resume and say that must have been so easy for her, but there were obviously so many more no's than yeses. And so many times I left there going, I hope they don't ever remember me in this audition, because that was embarrassing. But then again, you learn from it. So I think for me, it was learning to ask questions and learning to really log everything that was kind of going around me. But I feel like that's innate for dancers. I feel like we're really aware, and we can quickly pivot, we can quickly shift, and we can quickly turn that on and shift into that different perspective, and approach something in a different way as soon as it clicks with you, not to be hesitant or resistant to change. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
It did answer my question. I mean,
Okay.
and you spoke of the lessons learned along the way. And I think it's important. You hit upon two things that we always talk about, especially on this show, is the book of no. I call it the book of no.
Yeah, that's so smart.
Have this resume of these like amazing highlights and yeses of your career. No one talks about the 10,000 no's before the one. So with these lessons learned, I'm eager to understand and find out what your first big breakthrough was. Was there that gig that kind of propelled you forward into these steps of where you are today?
I have 2 answers, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So the first professional job I booked out here in LA was for a company called Paris by Night. It's a Vietnamese variety show, and they are the most famous and the most talented Vietnamese stars, but they are disconnected from their community and their country. So they put on live shows here in Los Angeles, San Jose, a couple different places where there's a hub of large Vietnamese communities. And I didn't realize that it was the quote unquote, job for Asian dancers. And that I was hired there and learned so much about multi-cameras and, my heritage, learning about different sorts of cultural dancing for different Asian, cultures. Mm-hmm. So that was really incredible. And that was the job that kept on giving. I mean, it still keeps on giving. I think I booked that in 2001. And they still ask me to be a part of it. It's a family. So that was a really wonderful sort of backbone for me to have that available to me in that platform. But I would say commercially, what broke me in was I booked Scrubs, the musical. It was an episode that was on many years ago. If you remember that show, Scrubs, with Zach Braff.
I love Scrubs, yes.
Such a good show.
Huge
and it was
fan.
Actually, I showed up to the audition, and it was, I think there were only like maybe 7 of us. Lance McDonald was the choreographer. And I showed up in, I don't always do this, but this time it worked for me. I showed up in full scrubs, like full nurse, like went downtown
Brilliant.
to like the utility store and got scrubs and like white sneakers. And I just dressed the part and showed up, and it worked. And he booked me, and I think there were 5 of us that were on the entire episode. So we shot for over a week on set with Zach and the main, cast. It was a full musical episode. The entire
No,
episode.
I remember this episode.
My hair was real short.
Yes, and I remember not knowing that you got it, but I remember watching the episode just because I was interested that they had done a musical episode, right? And
it was one of the first shows that kind of really did it.
Exactly. And I remember, I'm a huge fan of Zach Braff. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Love his movies, his work.
His movies are incredible.
So I wanted to lean into that because I was just intrigued of what is he up to now. And then I saw you. I was texting Kiesha.
Oh, you did? That's so sweet. I had no idea.
I remember that happening. And it's one of those moments where you're looking at the screen and you go, did I just see Pam?
I'm just like with the clipboard.
Oh, that's so funny. I totally, that just came back. That memory just returned. How crazy. Okay.
That's so fun. Yeah. So Lance McDonald, opened that door for me. And I think within that month, I booked a Quiznos commercial, which was really funny because I went in, this was one of my first quote unquote acting castings. I don't consider myself an actor at all. I think it's a skill that you have to hone and study, and I haven't done any of those things. So the fact that I fell into this is exactly that. I tripped and fell into it and got quite lucky. So I went to this casting, and it was like a blank, empty room like this. And I walked in and they said, okay, now we want you to mime, like there were no props, no table, no nothing. I want you to mime making a Quiznos sandwich. And I was literally like, I don't know. I was just like piling random things and like cutting with a fake. It was the worst. Like I left that audition and sat in my car and I was so embarrassed for myself. And then I ended up booking it. And I was like, wait, what? How did this?
You never know.
It's crazy.
Know. I love that these opportunities are so diverse, right? There's different kind of commercials and this musical and then this and that. Of all the things you've done so far, is there one project that has been most rewarding to you?
Oh, wow. That is a really hard question because I really think that each of them has made me who I am. And I'm someone who, when I'm in the middle of a project, I'll dive in. You won't hear from me. My parents are like, well, she must be working because I haven't heard from her. So I'm just I'll get very focused, and it's also to my detriment. Like, then I have to kind of climb out of my hole and say, hi friends, I'm back. I'm sorry. I was just really, I just absorb myself, inside of it and just surround myself with it so I can kind of get in there and understand it. So I think, I have so many answers, but I think I'm going to say, I think I might say Cirque. Yeah. I'll say Cirque. Cirque on this call. I don't know how much you want to hear about this. I'll give you a real quick.
Oh no,
little.
Please. I mean, I feel
you can edit it out. We can do it in the edit.
No, I think it's important that people understand that you can have all these gigs, but there might only be 1 or 2 that really resonate with you. Yeah. You can do a commercial, you can do this musical show, you can do the Britney Spears in Vegas for years, but then you as a human being, you might feel more connected to something, or it connects with you at a certain point in your life.
In my life, yeah.
That's exactly right. So at 35 and 40 or at 23, these gigs kind of put you on your path, right? And you keep going and going. But at that one moment in time, and there are many, that is very true. There are many influences that, again, create who you are today. But if it's hard to define it as one, like you're saying,
yeah.
For Cirque, I think it's important to share it because it's a special place. It's a special environment, a special culture. So I was wondering, even personally, what really felt most impactful or rewarding for you?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the question. I auditioned for this because it was besides Love, it was one of the first calls that I had gotten for a Cirque show where they wanted dancers to dance. There weren't any prerequisites of we had to have a special talent, we had to have a special skill, we had to be able to do this and that. It was Wade Robson is choreographing a Cirque du Soleil show, and that's all I had to hear. right? So I auditioned at
Exactly right.
Millennium, got the job. And then we had to go to Montreal for like 2.5 months and stay at the Cirque compound and put together this show. And at the time, we weren't allowed to talk about it because it was the new Chris Angel show. So it was all illusion. So it was all secret, so secret that we weren't allowed to rehearse during the daytime hours when other shows were in creation. They call it creation. So
That's so
we had to rehearse at
interesting. Okay.
night when the whole Cirque compound was closed. I mean, we wanted snacks, nothing was open. Like we were like hidden. So, oh man, 2.5 months with Wade every day, learning how to bungee, learning how to fly, figuring things out. And this group of people have become my closest friends. And that's probably what has defined that moment as the most special for me, is Wade setting the intention for this experience for us and giving us the space to dream and learn and fail and create, and having this whole like Cirque playground to ourselves, literally running around going, "Ooh, let's try this. Ooh, let's try this," you know?
That's
And
great.
then moving to Vegas for 2 years, and trying to navigate a new city like that. And again, it was like all the excitement of nobody knowing what we were. They knew the name of the show, but we couldn't really talk about it. And then we were, I mean, I think it ended up being a full 8-month process of a creation.
Mm.
So that was a dream. And then we did that show for 2 years, and the show had mixed reviews. I have mixed reviews about the show, but it almost doesn't even matter because it was what you come away with and what you keep with you. There was one other thing that really anchored me throughout my whole time here in LA was Peter Chu.
Hmm.
Peter Chu's company, Chu This. He always gave me a space to come back to that concert world and that nurturing, loving space. He's a mentor, he's a friend, he's one of the best teachers and communicators. And so I don't always get to talk about him because, it's not a quote unquote commercial job,
That's right. Yeah, sure.
but Peter allowed me to step back into my training.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to say that because he's lovely and I'm so grateful for him on my path.
Doing a Cirque show for 2 years. How many performances did you have with the Britney show? How
So
long,
Brittany
how
was,
many years was that?
I think it's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. So Brittany was 4 years in Las
Yeah,
Vegas,
I thought it
and
was
then
long.
about a year of touring, but not consecutively. We did like a US tour, we did an Asia tour, we did a European tour. That was kind of like a month here, 2 months there. So, and that was after it was like the last year of our residency into the year post residency. Cirque, as you know, is 10 shows a week. I mean,
Right.
it's out of control.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
intense. The
out
schedule
of
is
control.
intense, right? The schedule is intense.
Brittany was 3 shows a week, every other month, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay. So,
Still one of the hardest jobs I've ever had to do because we were running the whole show,
yes.
running in heels, running the whole show.
When you have this kind of longevity of expectation, you need to deliver 11 shows a week, 3 shows a week, running in hills, sprinting, endurance, and be on. You still have to deliver no matter what's going on with you personally. You have to be professional and then approach every single one of those performances at 100%, if not 110%. How do you stay excited? How do you stay focused? How do you keep it fresh? How do you stay vigorated enough to deliver that kind of demand?
That's such a great question. I think for me, it really came with age and understanding what I needed to do for my body in order to deliver. So I booked Brittany when I was 35, I think, which is very late in my career. And I never thought that I would get to perform on a stage of that size with an icon. So that was just pretty amazing.
I remember you getting
So,
that. We were all like, yes,
I mean, I was
incredible.
like,
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. That's a really fun story. We can do that another time.
Yes.
So for me, I think I really started my health journey when I was around 30. It was late for me. And again, I'm so grateful that now it's easier. The knowledge is out there. There's a lot more wellness doctors that are easily accessible. There's a lot more things that you can just easier to attain. Whereas when we were growing up, it was a little bit different. Not that I don't believe in Western medicine, because I do. Western and Eastern medicine are something that I've sort of put together for myself. So with the guidance of Peter Chu, I, was understanding a little bit more about Eastern medicine, how to take care of myself and change my diet, and do things like that and heal myself from the inside out. So by the time I got to Britney, I knew that I really needed to build my physical stature and my endurance. So I would sleep all day, no joke, sleep all day, and then get to work pretty early with some of my other castmates, and we would do like a workout. I would also run sometimes before I'd go to work, just so that I could get my body charged. And then I'd get to work, put on my makeup, do all the things, but then I would do a workout in the dressing room, and then go downstairs, and then I would stretch, and then I would do a full show, and then go home, full dinner, knock out, start over again. I'm also somebody who loves physical therapy. You get me on that table and it's really hard to get me off. My body just goes, do whatever you want. And my body really reacts to it. So I really believe in that guidance and that assistance. But it wasn't, again, until like my 30s that I understood that I really needed to start doing weight training, and I really needed to do cardio, and I needed to do physical therapy in order to get my body ready to be able to perform on that sort of a level, especially for that Britney show, where that stage was so big. The dancers were really in every number. If we weren't on stage, we were doing a quick change, which are, as you know, sometimes harder than the energy that you have to give off on stage. So I think I was really lucky to be the age that I was. And even though I did get injured from time to time, it was nothing that has lasted with me. So I feel like I really was at the top of my game in my late 30s, which is pretty cool to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, because then you have a different level of understanding as well as appreciation for a job like that. The opportunity, and exactly what you said, working for an icon like Britney Spears. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I think at 23, it wouldn't be as valuable as it is in your late 30s. So it would be amazing.
For me, I think I would have been like super excited and like,
yes,
you're right.
And that's for me too. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know
because there were a lot of dancers in our cast that were 23 when they were booked. And I mean, we had 14 dancers with 2 swings, a male swing and a female swing added to that. So 16. And it was an incredible group of people, and everybody was really focused on what we needed to do, how to support her. But again, like if I was 23, I don't think I would be working out before the show. I think I would be resting and maybe doing a long stretch. But for me, I realized that I needed to up my, energy before getting on stage. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the evolution of you as a person too, and age and all those things. It changes as you grow and as you get older, and your interests change and your focus changes. It's just, life is fascinating.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So now, I'm hearing things about producing and the other side of the table. So what are you currently working on? I love this.
Yeah, I have transitioned to producing for live stage and TV, which I had to embrace myself saying I have transitioned, because for many years I've said I'm transitioning. And it's like, I have to own it and walk in those shoes and be comfortable saying that, because that's, it starts there. It's very difficult
to transition as a dancer into producing, directing.
Anything else.
Anything else. Thank you. That's the best.
Yeah.
Anything else. Yes.
Yeah. So I was quite lucky, again, while I was doing Britney. Like I said, we were a month on and a month off. And we all kept our places in LA. We were all LA based. So we would just drive up and rent Airbnbs whenever we would have shows in Vegas. And on our time off, management allowed us to do other work as long as we ran it by them, just in case we got injured for those sort of reasons. And during that time, I would kind of jump on and just start assisting people on small projects, whether it be Square Division. They are incredible. They do creative directing for Katy Perry and J Balvin, and they're really wonderful. So they asked me to start assisting them, and they were creative producers. So I became an assistant creative producer. And it was basically just like you would assist a choreographer, I assisted the creative producer. So anything they needed in regards to like notating the track and writing choreography notes, and when special effects would go off at the same time, and what props we needed. And, you know, just from doing that, you learn how to communicate with all the departments, and you learn how pitch decks are put together, and you learn how to communicate on comms or PLs, walkies, and you kind of start picking up the lingo. But again, there's really no school for producing. So again, it's just jumping in and learning as you go, learning by doing.
Yes,
exactly. And a book of no, of like, you can't talk to the director on the walkie, even though you can hear him on comms. Don't talk to him. Just wanted him to know that he was entering from camera left, not camera right. You know, like things like that. Like,
exactly.
It's okay, Pam, we got it. So I started doing those things and assisted Mandy Moore and Swanee on a couple of different projects, whether it be, you know, a live stage show, a tour, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, if these incredible creative producers weren't available to do a job, they would have me be them, and they would filter all of the information through me. So like if Square Division was in Australia, where they're from, they would say, we're going to send you all the information that we need you to know, study it and know it like the back of your hand. And then you need to fly to Mexico, and you need to deal with J Balvin and the Black Eyed Peas and just run the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. And it's a 4-song medley and a different setup for each song. And there's 21 dancers that don't speak English, and you're going to get to bring a choreographer and assistant with you, but that's it. And you need to meet J Balvin's team, and you need to do the Spotify Music Awards where everyone speaks Spanish, and you need to call cues for the kabuki to drop, and you need to cue in the Black Eyed Peas when they go, and you won't meet them until right before. So just getting in the trenches. And it's so exciting to me that I don't think I realized that I sort of the passion for auditioning for myself to dance had kind of taken a backseat. It didn't go away, but just took a little bit of a backseat because I dove in and I was like, I need to learn how to do Google Docs. I need to learn how to do Keynote. All of these things that I just didn't learn in school because we were dancing.
That's right. It was different. Our training was different focus. Yeah.
Different focus. So that just ended up happening. And then Mandy asked me to, Mandy Moore cast me for season 27 opening number. And I was like so excited because I had wanted to dance on Dancing with the Stars for a very long time. I was lucky enough to do it with Demi Lovato years prior when I was on tour with Demi, but not as like a Dancing with the Stars, like dancer. And I think Mandy saw that while I was on set, it moved so fast. And one of the pros missed a rehearsal. And so I was teaching her quickly on the side, but I had never met her before. So it was just like, I think Mandy maybe saw that I could communicate and multitask, and that preset goes there, and, without being bossy, but just naturally kind of like, hey, it's this. And so then we shot it, because you shoot live. And as I was walking out, Mandy called me and said, can you come back? I just want to talk to you. And she said, I need some help this season. My assistant that I have for this season is going out of town for a couple of weeks. Can you come sub in? I said, sure. So I subbed in, and then she ended up extending me through the end of the season, and really was able to kind of dive in there and learn some more about TV production. And again, it's all like directing a show.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like directing a show. Everything is choreography and direction, and it's multitasking. It's knowing how to communicate. It's being overly organized, doing your homework, and just all of that wrapped into one, and learning as you go, because every project is different. I could be a creative associate on one project where they want me to communicate with talent, and I could be a creative associate on another where they don't want me to. So it's just knowing your place and understanding the vibe in your environment. And I'm still really excited by it. So every time I do a job, it's a new experience. And I just produced a show for Amazon, and it was my first time being a producer. So it's a different role because I've been a supervising producer. I've been an associate creative producer. I've been an assistant creative producer. I've been an associate director, but this is the first time being a producer. So that was a whole different language that I had to learn and understand. These are my tasks that are expected of me. These are the things that I have to understand, be across, shoot locations and camera ops and all of these crazy things. And that comes out June 17th. I'm really excited. I was the lead producer on the Kid Cudi performance. So that's really great. And now I'm about to go to New York for a couple of months to shoot a new TV show. It's a kid show. So yeah, it's really overwhelmingly exciting. I'm nervous all the time. I'm always checking for blind spots and calling friends and saying, okay, when you produced on this job, how did you get a work permit for a 7-year-old? Like things like that. They expect you to know, but they don't tell you how you're gonna know. So you just have to take charge and do your research and do your work. And most of the time most of the time I'm asking questions. Every single one of my emails to the executives, to the line producers, to the director, they're all questions, but just ask them. That's right. No one's told me you're asking too many questions, honestly. And my emails are long and they're all questions. And I get answers. I'm like, okay, I'm going to log that for later.
Well, and you're probably
long-winded, but
no, but I think it's important. And, asking questions and asking for help are so important in making sure it circles back to communication and then being able to deliver. So it's all of those things that are not taken for granted, but important attributes to, successfully completing or delivering a project in any realm, whether it's corporate world, whether it's performance art world, it matters. So, I just reflecting on this conversation, you've touched almost every facet of the industry, and I look forward to seeing what's next. What kind of advice do you have for our listeners?
Being uniquely yourself, I think, is the way to approach this industry. And I think holding on to your passion projects and knowing that they may not happen right away, and that's okay, and keeping those close to your heart, because you're going to have to keep checking in with yourself and telling yourself, stay the path, stay the course. I have this is mine. And then there will be a time where you can share that. I think support system is the most important thing for me. So making sure that I always had someone that I could talk to, always having a guide where I could lean on. But again, I would say being uniquely yourself. I mean, and just trusting that you have something to say and that it's important and that it's worth saying.
That's great advice.
And sharing.
So important, and sharing. That's right. And being okay with your unique qualities. I think we try to hide them. And that's actually our greatest asset in so many cases. It's so interesting. Such a pleasure. You are incredibly inspiring, a beautiful human being, and just watching the evolution and you becoming this amazing woman. I look forward to many more conversations with you and seeing where this all goes. I'm just so proud of you. I love you.
Thank you, Kiesha. I love you too. And I feel like we are kismet spirits. We have not spent a lot of time together, but we've been in each other's orbit for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that I'm so grateful that we have you leading the artists of the future and the artists of today, because they're already artists. I think it's so important that they have someone that they can relate to, someone that, lifts them up. And I just think it's really important. I think educators are the most important in the world to us, because they they give us hope, and we remember them, and they put us on our journey, and that's what you're doing. So
Thank you. You did not have to
you're
say
amazing.
that, but thank you.
No, I meant it.
You're
I wanted to interrupt you a lot of times and ask you about you, but I was trying to stay the course.
Well, I, would love to keep in touch, certainly. And we'll be sharing this. And if there's any other information you want us to share, please let me know, especially with your new nonprofit. I think it's important that people know about it and know how we can help.
We actually partnered with Point Park.
Fabulous.
We partnered with Point Park for the summer. So we scholarshipped 2 students to the summer intensive. So
Oh, that's amazing.
And we're hoping to do some more in the future.
Okay, great. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Please take care of yourself. Thank you. Just lovely conversation. You are so beautiful.
I adore you.
Take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, I'm going to text you right after this.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, bye.